Welcome back, everyone, to my weekly Dragon Oracle card series. So, the Dragon card for this week, the week of November 23rd, 2025, are the Fire and Water Dragons. The Fire and Water Dragons. So, these dragons are helping to enable our lives to flow with loving force. They are helping us to prepare for change and move forward quickly, and they want us to expect the unexpected and have fun. So, if you've been following this series, this card should look familiar. These dragons first made an appearance in September. So, this is now the fifth time that a card has come through for the second time. And the reasoning is the same as before, an opportunity to go deeper with the messages coming through. So, the biggest impressions, there were a couple of them coming through as I pulled this card. The first is around that elements of fire and water and how those two elements in and of themselves are kind of an unexpected pair. You wouldn't necessarily often think of them as being harmonious because of how fire can burn off water, cancel out water. Water can put out flames, if you dump water on a fire. This is similar to the messaging that came through the first time. So there's that basic message of the unexpected pairing of these two elements, right? But when they are working harmoniously, when you think about how water nourishes that seed, fire, the sun, nourishes the seed as it is growing. When fire begins to boil water into steam, that has powerful force behind it. So the message here is around the loving force. So this is what these fire and water dragons were pulling my focus to, was that heart-centered inner force, loving heart-centered intention of doing that inner work, continuing to do that shadow work, continuing to look within to find those deeper understandings of how we need to do our own healing in order to then be able to support the healing journeys of others. So we are continuing with that work. These fire and water dragons are acknowledging the continuation of that work. They are here to help us continue to clear the debris that we are surfacing and healing and letting go of. And they want to continue to encourage us to keep going from that heart-centered, loving place and space. And the imagery that came through as I was pulling this card and receiving this message from these dragons. So imagine we are kind of whitewater rafting, or rafting in a canoeing down, whitewater canoeing down a river. And this river has rapids, this river has calm places, this river has waterfalls, but maybe it's a river that we've not been on before. So, what we do know, when we've cleared the debris and the stuff that needs to heal, the shadow work, and we are able to come back into recognition of what's already known within us. Remember, what we're seeking is not external, it's internal. It's been within us all the time. It's just been our vantage point to it, our access to it is just clouded by experiences and things in our lives that have caused us to forget that innate higher conscious wisdom that's within us already. So the dragons want us to remember, these fire and water dragons want us to remember that we have that skill set, that knowledge, that awareness of exactly what to do as we're canoeing down this river. We know how to operate the oars and keep our balance in the canoe. And we can rely on that skill and ability as we move down this river. But as we come around the bend, all of a sudden there's some rapids that are presenting, and we have to act quickly and pivot quickly and adjust our mindset quickly as to how we need to react and respond to that. And so we're navigating through the rapids, and then around the next bend there's calm, and we get to sort of relax and rest in that calm, so to speak. And then maybe around the next bend there's a waterfall. And how do we navigate that waterfall? These dragons want us to remember that the higher wisdom, the higher consciousness, our higher wise selves, our soul's light, looking through life through the eyes of our soul, being spirit-led, being soul-led by that higher consciousness, is going to allow us to navigate through these white rapids, through the calm, through the waterfalls. And it's going to be quick. It's going to be quick. We're going to be not having the need, and we may not have the opportunity, but not having the need to overanalyze or overthink things. We'll just be discerning quickly, making decisions quickly, and relying on that inner wisdom. So that is the other aspect of this. And then having fun. We're out in nature. We're on the water. We're in the sunshine. Or maybe it's even raining and we have to navigate how to do that. But it's all a part of nature. Have fun with it. There's animals and birds around and fish. And so to have fun in that nature's roller coaster. That's the other sort of metaphor. This river, these rapids, these waterfalls. It's nature's roller coaster. So my name is Gia, and I am an intuitive psychic. I'm an energy reader and healer, and I do have an opportunity to offer personalized reading and healing sessions for you. And we can focus on this energy coming through from these fire and water dragons in a personalized session for you. If you reach out to me this week, I'll offer a discount for you on that reading and healing session, and we can schedule it for any time. Think of it as a gift for yourself during this holiday season, or a gift that you can give another in your life that you wish to share, that you care deeply about, that you wish to share that kind of gift with. So back to this message, really wanting, these fire and water dragons are really wanting to underscore that, and that they do recognize the work that we've put in. And again, it's not easy doing that inner work, that, the work that involves looking at those triggers, looking at those things that we may be really discouraged about having to continue to put effort in, those things that feel like, you've been working on this for so long, but there is progress. There is progress. Any movement in the direction of recognizing and releasing those frameworks that hold those things in place, those belief systems that aren't aligned, those definitions that aren't aligned, those beliefs that are not truths, that aren't aligned truths for us. It's hard work, right? It's hard work. The trauma, the anxieties, the depressions, perhaps, those kinds of things. It's not easy work, but it is so valuable to hold that intention from that loving, heart-centered place, so that with that loving, heart-centered focus and attention and intention, we can remember that we are worthy of that self-care. We are worthy of that healing. And when we are able to continue to do that, it clears that pathway for us to be able to see ourselves through our higher consciousness, through our soul's eyes, through that light of our soul. and therefore continue to be on that healing journey for ourselves. And then again, once that inner work is done, it will naturally be reflected outward, because our light will shine brighter and we will be that example for others, and we will be that beacon of light, that lighthouse on the coastline that helps to let the ship know that they're reaching the shore. So yeah, that's basically that message. Keep going. Progress is being made, whether it feels like it or not. Progress is being made. And the reminder that, again, what we seek is not external, it is from within. And when we're trusting that, inner wisdom, that higher wise knowledge that's already there, that wisdom that's already there that we've carried with us, we're going to be able to navigate those rapids and navigate that river seamlessly. We're going to be able to pivot and change direction on a dime. We're going to be able to move quickly without overanalyzing. We're going to be able to discern the direction we need to go without overthinking, without being invested so much in the outcome that we lose sight of the bigger picture. So, yeah, that's the messages coming through. And this feels good to me when I think about my life personally. It does feel reassuring to have this message come through that acknowledges, the work ahead, to continue the work ahead, but acknowledges the work that's already been done. Those messages, when they come through in this way, feel very affirming and encouraging. So, thank you. With gratitude to the fire and water dragons. And I am still being guided to look at symbols. So I'm going to do that again. If you've been following, symbols are simply a tool to help look at energy in a consolidated way, energy that's in our energy field. And for this intention with this Dragon card series, it's for the group of us that will ultimately be watching this video. So looking at a symbol that represents something that Spirit and the dragons want to bring through as a way to help clear out some of the energy out of our energy field that's interfering with really embodying these messages coming through this time from the fire and water dragons. So I'm going to pause the recording and do that now. And I will come back and let you know what the symbol is and the messages that came through with it. Be right back. Hi, so I'm back. So the symbol that came through was this silver platter and very ornately engraved and everything. And we have taken our physical heart out of our body and placed it on this platter. And the messages here, so this was about, there's this kind of survival mode energy that kicks in relative to some of that really deep inner work where it's like, I don't want to look at that shit again. I don't want to look at that stuff again. It was too hard the first time, and I don't want to go through it again. So I want to take it out of myself so I don't have to feel it in the same way. And so it's that compartmentalizing to survive through the healing process, this notion that we have to do it that way. And so we are taking this out. And then there's also the aspect of like, if I can look at it outside of myself, maybe I can really examine it in a closer way and looking at all the valves and arteries and veins and vessels and stuff and really kind of understand it more clearly. There's that notion that perhaps if I can put it outside myself, bring that inner thought to the external thought. Like sometimes that notion of like talking out through something with somebody else so you can hear the words outside of your own head. So there's that kind of similar notion of like taking the heart out on this platter. The fact that this silver platter is so ornately carved, it's really beautiful. It's a little tarnished, but it's it's a beautiful silver platter. Is this part of this message is like there is that understanding that this work is important. It's special. It's necessary. We want to do this work. We understand how important it is, but still that notion of taking it out, taking it from inside out to examine it. And so the dragons here, the fire and water dragons, spirit, are letting us know that we don't have to do that. We can work through releasing the charged energy around these experiences, these triggers, these traumas. We can let them go without analyzing them. We can let them go without naming it. We can let them go without defining it. We do not have to figure out the exacting finite details of the energetics of something, to simply hold the intention and let it go. And so it is the other way this message came through is, emotions, charged energy and emotions, when we allow them to, when we can allow them to, they move through us, right? When we are able to hold that space for them and let them move through, they do move through. They come through and leave. They don't stay. If we have the opportunity to allow for that process to happen naturally. And so we can't do that if we're removing it and compartmentalizing it in such a way where we don't have access to the whole of ourselves. So it's like removing an aspect or an element of ourselves which doesn't allow for the whole unit to work as it's intended. So again, thinking about those emotions as moving through. And the other aspect of this message is, though when we do this work, when we do this shadow work, when we do look at those things that are challenging, the triggers, the traumas, the intensity of emotion can really be quite a lot. But Spirit here and the fire and water dragons here want to remind us that it is never going to be exactly the same as when that trauma or trigger or whatever it is we're working on first initially got seated in us, first initially happened, that first initial experience. So this is also why it's important to remember and recognize that simply the intention, simply holding that space for ourselves in a grounded way, in whatever way that we can connect in with that grounding for ourselves, this allows for us to let go without naming it. Just holding that intention to let go without naming it. Acknowledging and recognizing the charged energy that we're trying to let go of, and not having to name every aspect. We don't have to, relive in finite detail the blow by blow of it all. Spirit, in fact, doesn't want us to relive it exactly the way it initially happened. Spirit wants us to simply let it go, and Spirit and the dragons want us to know that they are there in that unseen world, the world we can't see with our human eyes, supporting that process of letting go. So these are the messages that came through with these wonderful fire and water dragons. And again, coming back to that notion of doing this with loving force. And force here is not aggressive force, but it's intentional force. It's mindful force from that heart-centered, loving space. So thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And until next time.